from president to global citizen. After finishing his presidential mandate in Peru and running again for president, Alejandro Toledo has alternated his responsibilities between teaching and politics. In recent years, he returned to his alma mater, where he graduated as an economist. He was a researcher at the Brookings Institution and the Johns Hopkins School of Advanced International Studies. Recently, he has worked as an associate researcher at Stanford University's prestigious Center on Democracy, Development, and the Rule of Law. From a multidisciplinary perspective, he shared his knowledge on urgent current affairs issues such as the future of democracy, the fight against poverty, quality education, water problems, global warming and the environment, food security, social programs and social inclusion, citizen insecurity, and the construction of an efficacious state. This contact enabled him to closely follow the changes occurring in the economy, politics, science, and technology, and compare them with progress being made in Peru. As a result of this period of reflection and analysis, Dr. Toledo wrote 2 books. The first was an analysis of his government from 2001 to 2006, titled Crecer para Incluir, or Growing for Inclusion, which described how at the start of his mandate, he found a country mired in recession, which he would lead to vigorous growth by the time he left office 5 years later. His second book, The Shared Society, reveals a prospective, optimistic vision of Latin America over the next 50 years, where he provides recommendations for what the region needs to do to share economic growth. Dr. Alejandro Toledo has returned to academic research, but he has not forgotten his political involvement and his constant work to promote Peru abroad. He has also met with business groups interested in learning more about Peru's economic growth and the possibility of exploring new investment opportunities in Peru. In each of the countries where he has made a presentation, the former president has stated that in order to achieve development, countries must execute state policies that are sustainable over time. In all these places, Dr. Toledo has been recognized as a statesman who put the economy in order, halted inflation, laid the foundations for growth, organized successful social programs such as Juntos and SIS, expanded the country's road network, increased exports, and opened up new global markets. But he is also recognized as a president who respected democracy, human rights, and citizens' freedoms, the rights of indigenous communities and youth, in addition to forging a more democratic and inclusive government. Dr. Toledo has been decorated with the Presidential Medal for Defense of Democracy, awarded for the first time to a former head of state, jointly by 3 institutions: the Council of the Americas, the Democracy Defense Fund, and the United States Council on Foreign Relations. At the United Nations, he inaugurated the global debate on achieving the objectives of the millennium. Between academic conferences, business meetings, and awards, Dr. Toledo has always been in contact with the country, focusing on the present and future of Peru. With that goal in mind, he created the Global Center for Development and Democracy, an institution that gathers together former Latin American presidents, and presented the social agenda for democracy at the Iberian-American Summit in Portugal. The center, known as CGDD, has also made important progress in the Territorial Development Program in the Lurin watershed, via the integral management of water in the upper Andean reaches, the construction of reservoirs, technical irrigation, and commercial associations, which have had a direct impact on improving living standards in these communities. Recently, with the backing of the World Bank and its president, Jim Yong Kim, Dr. Toledo presented in Lima the Latin American Institute of Leadership and Public Management, aimed at training young people with a new vision of politics and public management. Dr. Toledo has decided to use his wealth of experience in the academic field and state administration for the benefit of the country. Together with his lifetime partner, Elian Karp, he shares a vision of a new Peru, with growth and development. A country with equal opportunities, more tolerant, inclusive, and democratic. Alejandro Toledo has returned and is with us today to build a Peru with justice for all.